Oh, this is an oldie. This is an early pit. What's this thing? You know, I mean, this thing could be 1870s? I'd never seen one of these things before. I'm at the ghost town of Everest, North Dakota, just south of Castleton. The town boomed in the 1880s. There was a hotel, saloons, stores, a boarding house, and a blacksmith shop. It burned in 1886, but there were some residents who stuck around after. I believe there was a store in business until the 1940s. I got permission to excavate the grounds behind where the original businesses once stood, so I'll take a walk around and see what's going on. It seems no one knows exactly where the original building stood, but I searched through the property records and concluded that most of the activity took place around here. I'm actually standing on what used to be an alley, and these are the back of the lots. If you look close, you'll see this sunken area. I kicked some marks in the ground. I had pushed a probe rod through. I hit some stove ashes and glass. So that's a good indicator of an early site. We'll get this thing opened up. We're in it. There's all kinds of stuff here. I see some panel bottle. Looks like, yeah, there we go. Hoff's Liniment. Goodrich Drug Company, Anoka, Minnesota. That's an early machine-made piece. And notice it just says Hoff's Liniment. The earlier ones say Hoff's German Liniment, and they dropped German, I believe, after World War I. Looks like some kind of liquor bottle. Kind of big quart. Oh yeah, it's pre-prohibition, early machine made. I'd put it 1910 to 1920, would have had a paper label on it. Looks like maybe a soda or a beer. This thing's wedged in there. Got a early machine made beer. It's no embossing on it, would have had a pry-off cap, again 1910 to 1920. Alright, a little prescription bottle. It's early machine made. I'd put this thing at about 1915, that World War I era. And, okay, Dr. Chaz H. Fletcher's Castoria. This was a castor oil medicine. This was super popular back in the day. I found these all across the Midwest. This pit has a good amount of pieces in it. There's stuff just falling out. This is a toothbrush at first, but I think it's the mouthpiece to a pipe. It's a Bakelite, some sort of World War I era. Looks like, okay, another Hoff's Liniment. Now this one's clear. I think the other one we dug was aqua. This one's also machine made. There we go. Another Castoria. This one's early machine made. Typical of outhouse pits. We're pulling up tons of seeds. Definitely a confirmed outhouse pit. We have here, looks like some kind of a case. Looks like maybe something electrical. Here's a, what's this say, mahogany. Ever Ready Mahoganite, made in USA. It's some kind of a case, I think, of some sort. If anyone knows what this thing is, please drop a comment. You can see the stamp right there. It's well legible. Some kind of a bakelite of some sort. We have a machine-made prescription drugstore bottle. Looks to be, yeah, that same World War I era. I think that's the age of this site. There's all kinds of broken mason jars in here. But there we go. Yeah, an early machine-made beer. There's no embossing on it, but it's crown tops. Got a nice aqua color. I found one of the walls and still more stuff. That blue thing's got me wondering. It's an early machine-made prescription bottle. Again, that World War I era. Looks like some kind of liquor flask. That's a Mikado style, full pint, pre-prohibition. That's 1910 to 1920 I'd put it at. Yeah, I gotta figure out what this blue thing is. It's looks like some kind of enamelware. Wow. Looks like an old kettle of some sort. You know, this looks like it's some kind of modern plastic piece, but this is over 100 years old. Looks like it's missing the top. Maybe it fell off, so they discarded it. Oh, the pick keeps going in this direction. Oh, classic. Mrs. Stewart's Bluing from Minneapolis. I believe that's the Luther Ford company that sold this stuff. Early machine made. Now, some kind of liquor bottle. Maybe a jar. Yeah, jar. Atlas Strong Shoulder Mason. Another classic. These were on farms and canned in early houses all across America during the World War I era. It's sold by the Hazel Atlas Company. We might have our first intact jar in this pit. These have all been broken. Looks like an awesome blue color. It's kind of wedged in there. Wow, it's really wedged. There we go. Nice. It's a dropped A underlined ball jar. That's a classic. Put this at about 1910, 1915. Another Hoff's liniment, an aqua one. So we've got two aquas and a clear so far. This metal, it's a carriage hub. So a horse-drawn carriage hub. The spokes would have come out of here. It's of that era. Oh, I got a couple more pieces here. Oh, and what's this? I see a ton of embossing. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Carefully so I don't break anything. Is it intact? Look at that. Wow. Prepared by Dr. Peter Farney and Sons Company, Chicago, Illinois. Wow. It's I believe a mountain herb blood vitalizer. It's got I think Norwegian or Swedish writing on there. I'd never seen a machine-made one. Every single one I found had been a tooled top. Got some amber pieces, and it looks like a prescription bottle. French square. No embossing, tooled top. This one's older. It's circa 1905. One of the oldest pieces we pulled up so far. Oh wow, little machine-made ink bottle made by the Illinois Glass Company. You know, I could have also held chemical of some sort. It's a threaded top. And okay, this one is a chemical bottle. PD and Company. So that's Park Davis and Company. They were a major pharmaceutical outlet. And you know, this one's again circa 1905. Not too bad. I found 3 of the walls and a couple more pieces. Looks like a prescription bottle. The age is getting better on this side for whatever reason. Okay, quality purity. There's no embossing on this side, but I believe that's a mark, maybe a line from a glass company. It's World War I era. Looks like a patent medicine or maybe an extract. A ball neck panel piece. It's a early machine made. Would have had a paper label on the front panel there. I think this pit might be about done. There's one more piece in here. Another Hoff's liniment. Early machine made. World War I era. This pit's done. Here's the hall. I confirmed it was a residential pit in use around World War I. Got a decent variety. Beer bottle, extract bottle, a container, a couple chemical bottles, some jars, a bluing bottle, tea kettle, prescription drugstore bottles, patent medicines, some liquor bottles, that carriage hub. That's not too bad. We'll get this thing filled back in. There's not much left of the old business district. There was a lot of ground to cover out here. I've noticed this sunken area. You'll see I kicked some marks in the ground. It's rectangle shaped. I pushed a probe rod through here and hit some ashes and glass. That's a good indicator of an early site. I'll get this thing opened up. From the fragments I've seen, this is an extremely early pit. I'm thinking Dakota Territory era. There hasn't been a whole lot here though. Now this little pocket of bottles, that's somewhat typical. Let's see. Jacques Atwood and Company, Chicago. It's an early tooled top piece. That's I believe an ink of some sort. There's a lot of ashes and then maybe a use layer. I'm thinking this could be a saloon dump. There's a ton of bar glasses. Some kind of a prescription drugstore bottle. S and a diamond on the bottom. Not sure I've seen that mark before, but this would have had a paper label. There's no other embossing on it. Now it looks like a liquor flask here. Alright, we have, this is an oldie. You know, this is an applied top. Made by the Illinois Glass Company. This is one of the older flasks I've dug in the Dakotas. It's an aqua coffin liquor style. Still producing a bit. Looks like we might have a stove leg. I've pulled up a bunch of broken cast iron fragments and look at that. It's an old claw foot. After an old wood burning, coal burning stove. This is probably super ornate under all the rust. Let's see here. Some kind of aqua bottle. So many roots and stuff down here. Wow, some kind of food jar. That's an early piece. Now look, it has a blue inside of it. That's bluing. This is not a bluing bottle, but folks would actually repurpose these after they were empty and refill them with bluing to store. Here's the hull. I'm amazed at the size of this pit and how little was thrown down it. We did get some early stuff though. Bar glass, liquor flask, drugstore bottle, some ironstone china, champagne, wine bottle, apothecary piece, possibly a couple, and then those broken stove parts. Had some great age, dated back to the 1880s, I believe. We'll get this thing filled back in. This spot was a bit harder to find. There was no obvious signs that the ground had been disturbed. I did push a probe rod through though, and I hit a bunch of ashes. That's a good sign that the site predates when electricity and natural gas became common for heating and cooking. So we'll get this thing opened up. We're getting into something here. I've been finding a bunch of broken fragments of mason jars and lamp chimneys. A lot of those date back to the 1870s, 1880s. This may be our first whole piece here. Oh, there we go. It's a early machine-made G. Heileman's Brewing Company from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Now this dates back, I'd say, to about 1915, 1910. It's well over 100 years old. We're off to a great start. We're into a solid use layer. I'm hitting layers of lime. Few objects exposed here. Looks like some kind of paneled bottle. You can see that white lime there. The ground's getting really soft down here. It's got some lime stuck to it actually. This is a paneled medicine, maybe an extract. There's no embossing, but this thing's well over 100 years old. I'm thinking this is from the 1880s or 90s. Some kind of paneled bottle. There's all kinds of stuff down here. What do we have here? Kendall's Spavin Cure for human flesh. Look at that. I've dug these actually out on the East Coast. This must have been sold all across the country. This is the first one I've dug here in the Dakotas, though. There it is. Looks like a little prescription bottle. Has some markings. WP Company. WP Company on the bottom. That was likely the glass house that made this thing. Would have been sold by a local druggist. Would have had a paper label on the front. Wow, this is an oldie. This is an early pit. What's this thing? Condon Catarrhal jelly. This thing's got like a flared lip, you know? I mean, this thing could be 1870s. I'd never seen one of these things before. All kinds of broken windows. This thing. Working around it. Wow. This, I believe, was used to put in the ground to tie up a dog. Now, I didn't know they were making these things back that far. This thing's, again, well over 100 years old. Looks like it's some kind of maybe wrought iron, steel. That's really something. This, I think, is intact. Wow. So that's unusual. This thing's... Okay, it's a tooled top, it's a 3-piece mold. I guess that fits the era of the pit. I was thinking it was machine made at first, but it just has a high mold seam. So yeah, 3-piece mold whiskey quart. Looks like some liquor flasks, some shoe fly style. Still haven't found bottom. There's all kinds of stuff down in here. This is, yeah, a shoe fly coffin liquor flask. I would have had a paper label on the front. It's circa 1890s. And another. It's the same era. Stuff in here. Sometimes these have markings. There we go. That's an earlier mark. A Powell and Bishop, Ironstone, China, England, has a black stamp on it there. That's I'm thinking an 1880s piece. Oh wow, a broken 3-gallon, could be a Target or a bee sting crock. This would have been made by the Red Wing Stoneware Company of Red Wing, Minnesota. A lot of the ones I find are broken. This one at least has the whole logo intact. That's really cool. Here's the hull. Everything dated back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. Everything here is over 100 years old. I was surprised at how many metal pieces we found. There's the axle to a buggy, a pickaxe, that thing you'd tie a dog down with, an ice skate, linkage to possibly a steam thresher, stove leg. Got a few bottles, a couple medicines, a prescription drugstore bottle, an extract, a liquor quart, a beer, a couple liquor flasks, some salt glazed stoneware and dinnerware. Seems this would have been some kind of residential pit. We'll get this thing filled back in.